about some general concepts when improvising in the Dorian mode. The Dorian mode tends to be the go-to mode for minor key improvising in a lot of different situations. It's the mode, for example, that you hear in a couple of the big Allman Brothers jams, like In Memory of Elizabeth Reed and Whippin' Post. It's the progression of Oye Como Va by Carlos Santana. A lot of others. It tends to be a go-to mode for improvising in minor keys. So there's one type of chord progression that you see a real lot that really calls for the Dorian mode very clearly. And that, as a matter of fact, is the progression of Oye Como Va and the guitar solos of Elizabeth Reed. That would be a minor 1 chord going to a major 4 chord. So, for example, that would be A minor to D. Or C minor to F, or E minor to A. That 1 to 4, minor 1 going to a major 4 is a definite sign of the Dorian mode. And another progression that you see a lot, or another chord that you might see a lot that would call for the Dorian mode, would be a minor 1 and also then a major a whole step down on the flat 7. So like A minor to G, or C minor to B flat, E minor to D. Those could also call for the Dorian mode as well. But really, that minor 1 to a major 4, that's the most common progression that you'll see calling for the Dorian. Now for me, when I was first learning the modes, the Dorian was the first one that I dabbled with, and that was largely because it so closely resembles the minor pentatonic scale. You know, I grew up playing Clapton and all of that kind of stuff, and so the minor pentatonic was what I knew as far as improvising goes. And my first sort of ticket to breaking away from that was going to the Dorian mode. Now you're not breaking real far away from the minor pentatonic, but it does bring in a couple notes that give you a little jazzier flavor. So for example, if we're going to do A minor, A Dorian, so the A minor pentatonic scale is here on the 5th fret. Most rock guitar players are certainly quite familiar with that. Well, if you just add a couple of notes to that scale, that gives you the A Dorian mode. So here's the minor pentatonic. Now, if I just add this note, this F sharp over here on the 4th fret, and the B also on the 4th fret, F sharp again there, B again there. So just by bringing in those extra B and F sharp notes to add that to the minor pentatonic in the key of A minor, that brings in just a couple of notes that give you a little jazzier flavor to get you out of that straight pentatonic sound. So for example, I might do a good old rock and roll lick off of that pentatonic scale, but then I'll finish it off by maybe bringing in a couple notes out of that Dorian mode, the B and the F sharp. So I might go, So then you can take all your other classic sort of pentatonic licks, and if you can figure out where those B and F sharp, again in the key of A, if you can figure out where those B and F sharp notes sit, this would be the 2nd and 6th notes of the scale. If you can figure out where those sit in relationship to your classic pentatonic licks, you can get some Dorian sounds pretty easily, like for example in A again. So in the way of a couple other easy little tricks for improvising in the Dorian mode, I'll keep my examples in the key of A minor. You can transpose all these to any key you want. But over that A minor chord, I might use ideas off of a B minor chord. The B minor incorporates the F sharp and the B, which are those notes that make the A minor scale Dorian. So using the B minor scale, then I'm kind of hanging on those notes very heavily. I'll start up a backing track and show you what that's going to sound like. So we're in A minor. did an ascending kind of lick over a B minor pentatonic scale, and then finished it off with kind of a bluesy lick off of A minor. I'll do it again. So I can use that same concept with an E minor chord as well. I can use E minor ideas over this A Dorian. So I'd start by playing something in A minor, move to E minor for a minute, and resolve back to A minor. So here's A minor. Move up to E minor. Finish it off with an A minor lick. Lastly, I can go down a whole step from my root. In this case, that would be G, and play major. So play G major ideas over this A Dorian progression, and then resolve back to A minor. Right there, I'm just in a G triad. Finish it off by coming back to A minor. So to recap, from your home chord, which in this case, in my example, is A minor, you can go up a whole step to B minor, play ideas off of that. You could go to the fifth, which would be E, play ideas off of E minor in the key of A. Or I can go down a whole step and play major, G major. But all in all, you can really still hang on to some good old pentatonic rock and roll sounds as kind of your home base in the Dorian mode, and bring in those extra notes to spice it up a little bit. So now I'll try doing a little bit of improvising, and I'll try to incorporate some of these ideas, and we'll see what I come up with here.